All right, I'm going to show you this design I made, Adam. So I sent you that video that showed you, um, I guess, some other clans or something's design, and I just wanted to improve on that, and I've spent a lot of time experimenting with different designs. I've had to clear this whole beach area a couple of times just to make room for more tests. It went out back there, but I tore most of it down. Um, and I finally have landed on this design. I think it's the best, and I'll explain a little bit of why I think that. So before we get started, I guess I should have done this ahead of time. It takes a while to sort, and that's gonna be with any sorting system that I've come across. The fast ones, I think I came across some faster sorting systems, but um, they didn't have the ability to make uh, a leftover cart, and I'll explain that in a second too. So, all right, let me try to close a few programs, make some space. My game's running a little choppy. All right, so we're going to start off by putting all the items that we want sorted into this sorter. And it's okay that it takes a long time because it's automatic. So you just flip the switch to turn it on. You can really leave it on all the time. And I have the sound turned off, but that clicking noise from the repeater and the dropper up there is just, it drives me crazy. So I just like to have the ability to turn it off. Whenever you're ready, you just push this button and it will send the cart up here. And it didn't. And that is because of this. So give me just a second here. Yeah, sorry about that. And I could just record a new video, but I'm not going to go through that all again. I recorded that last video several times. Should be a quick fix. Okay. Now, that should work. So you press this button. It'll send the cart up, and the cart will stay there. And as you can see, it starts pumping through some hoppers, and it comes out of this thing, this dropper. And then you have a hopper minecart picking things up. Now, a lot of systems use water, and water really is a fast way to do it because if you just used a hopper here and a minecart with a chest on it, the hopper will only take items out a little bit at a time. A hopper, whether it's a cart or a standalone, can pick up dropped items regardless of how many there are. It'll pick them up. So you could pick up a whole stack in a flash, whereas if you tried to use a hopper going into a chest, like a chest in a cart, it would go one at a time, and that's just kind of tedious. So this makes it a little bit faster. And I don't like using water because it's not reliable. I found that items would sometimes lag through the glass and stuff like that. I just didn't like it. Plus, it's a big pain having to use hoppers at the end to get the elevation back up to put it back in water and all that. So anyway, this system can go as far as you want without having to really change anything. The only thing that I should note, sorry, but the only thing I should note is that the farther you go, the more that hopper cart has to travel, and so the more time it will take. But really, that's not a big issue, and it's an automated system. It's meant to be, you just put what you want in there, push the button, and go, and just don't worry about it anymore. It's not meant to be instantaneous. So as you can see, these lights flicker when an item is being deposited. it sorts all of these items. There's going to be one stack of items left over that aren't sorted, and I'll show you what happens to those. And it's actually going to take a while, so I might have to skip it, but we'll go over here and explain the guts of the machine while we wait. So first off, we have the delivery cart system. I'm just hitting really bad lag here. And I won't really explain everything in detail. I can show you all these things. It's important to know that everything, especially when we get to this disgusting critter, this guy took me a long time to make. It's important to know that all of these ticks, every placement of the block, everything is timed perfectly, because getting these two things to react in a certain way is difficult, and I'll explain that when we get to it. So first off, that blue is just a really simple cart system. The green is the pulse that powers the dropper. So when the hopper lands on there, it funnels through a few hoppers into the dropper, and this pulse shoots them out onto the rail system on the other side there. This light purple and dark blue are the alternating sorting systems, mechanics. And so you can put a chest in front of each of these and have sideways double chests, so that works fine too. So you don't have to just sacrifice, to make it compact, you don't have to sacrifice chest size, but I just did it like this. I don't think we'd really need the big chests, except for maybe dirt, and if we did, we could just make another dirt entry later on as we needed it. So other systems, you would have to space it 2 at a time, because the redstone would touch one another if you tried to get close. So you have to have this kind of complex dark blue one in between each of them in order to make it so compact. And that really saves a lot of space. It's just a tremendous difference. That's 8, and that's just 4. I mean, it's double. So it's a big help. So after that, we have red, and that's just another cart delivery system. This one delivers the hopper cart down to the second hole, and that's the leftover cart. So anything that wasn't sorted will remain in the hopper, and you push that button to call it back, and it will come to you. And so you call it back whenever it's done sorting everything else. And whatever it didn't sort is just still in there. And then this last one, the hopper cart, it's a pain. I mean, not the hopper cart. Yeah, the hopper cart system, recall system. So this entire thing is just to move this block back and this rail forward. And when you move the rail forward, it connects these 2 other rails, and it allows that guy to go down. But what makes this so difficult, this piston, when it's in its basic state like this piston has to retract first, and then this one has to push. And they have to be really close to each other, or this cart could go off the tracks, waiting on this rail to fill the gap. And it'll just stop in between. But what makes it really difficult is whenever you put it back, this piston has to retract first, and then this piston goes just as quickly. And so all of this is, this bottom part, this AND switch, or AND gate, is a pulse shortener. And that's just to make the pulse from the button, because the button pulse is a little bit long, it needs to be shorter so that you can break the signal up into 2 signals using this thing, and it toggles 2 states. So the first time you use it, this guy will get the signal first, and then the second time you press the button, this guy will get the signal first, making this one retract first on the first button push, and this one retract first on the second. And in both cases, the other piston's going to do their movement after the first one. So it's just complicated. It took a while to figure it out. I think that's about as small as we could get it. I looked at a bunch of different designs, and I think that's the best way. And you can get a better look at the T flip-flop that's used up here. That's what this thing is. And this rail is just meant to signify the piston that pushes the basic rail. So these two on this side would output to that rail, and these two would output to the block piston. So that's that. Let's see how this thing's handling. I think it's done. Yeah, looks like it's done. So when it's done, you can just recall the cart. We'll just check, make sure it's done. Yep, it's done. Just go ahead and turn it off if you want or not, if the sound doesn't bother you. That cart's going to always keep moving, and if it stops, it's really easy to fix. I have this maintenance entry. So now if you want to recall, and I wish I could just show you what it looks like, because it's kind of cool watching the pistons work in sync, but you just press this button, give it a second, and the cart comes. And here are all the leftovers. Should be 64, yep. And you just press it again, and as it's timed perfectly, so the moment the cart gets there, there's enough ticks in this counter so it'll immediately lock back up, just so you don't have to worry about the cart doing something funky and getting out. So if the cart stops, all you have to do is flick this off and on, and it'll start up again. But yeah, the maintenance entry is over here. All of this, I used the fewest resources necessary. A few other designs used a lot of these comparators, which would use more nether quartz. This one uses 3 comparators for every 2 entries. I'm just calling these entries, these little cells, little units, because one of these designs has to have 2 of them, and the other one behind this block just uses 1. And that's really it. It's pretty simple. It can be expanded as far as we wanted. We could, if you wanted to save time, to make it go a little bit faster, we could just consider each of these a macro unit, and we could just build macro units after macro units and then have them all connect. I could make a cart system that would connect them. So the leftovers from one would go on to the other, and go on to the other, and go on to the other, and then wherever we ended, we would have a little cubby like this for the last hopper with whatever's left after all of those macro units, to recall and see what's left, what wasn't sorted. Or we could just do it like this, just keep extending this out, and that would be the easiest way, though slower as we got bigger. You also could not have 2 carts in there because it has to go, 2 carts would bounce back and forth off each other, and in order for this to work, it has to reach all lengths. It has to get the items from that end, and it has to be able to go all the way down here, dropping them off along the way. And so that's it. Real quick, I'll just show you this other thing real quick. This is I haven't had time to add any of the frills and such like you see on my other village house designs, but this is going to be in our village. This is the blacksmith's hut. There's not a lot to show, so it'll be real quick. The blacksmith can work indoors when it's cold. His living quarters are upstairs. There's a couple of floors upstairs, and they extend out here. You can come down here. I haven't put the redstone mechanics in, but redstone goes here, and it's real small, simple. It's just another pulse system like the dropper pulse, and it powers this thing. This is the cobblestone generator. So the blacksmith is where we would get all of our infinite cobblestone, and this is where he'd work on the outside if it's warm enough. But anyway, so that's what I've been working on. I have spent so much time on this thing that even if we don't need it, I'm going to put it into our world just to try to justify all of my wasted hours. It was a lot of time. But alright, well, take care then.